centralizing pre-K to 1 in one location is more efficient in terms of delivering on early childhood services. There's a lot that goes on in a pre-K and kindergarten class. And the delivery of services, rather than having someone travel from this school to that school, could be focused on one building. So it has pluses, definitely, but we have taken it off. Sort of the next one, scenario 3 is basically one school that's pre-K, pre-K to 1, and 2 schools are grades 2 to 6. So we would be keeping our 6th graders in the elementary school. So it keeps it early childhood, and the other 2 schools would be grades 2 to 6. So this becomes, again, the same issues with busing, same issues with space, or more issues with space, outweigh any benefits of creating an early childhood center. And the last one that we looked at, which perhaps may still be on the table at some point, and that is to, again, keep the 6th graders in our elementary schools. So each of the 3 elementary schools would be K to 6, and then we would centralize, so we'd take the 6th grade out of this school, keep it in the 3 elementary schools, and then centralize pre-K, because it's not a transportation by buses. And we would centralize it here in the middle school. In an isolated part, we would probably look at the area down with the home ec room, the sewing room, there's a science, that wing. But there would be some costs associated with changing, you can't use middle school bathrooms for 3- and 4-year-olds. It just doesn't work. And so there'd be some costs associated with reconfiguring space. And we're also very concerned about putting 6th grade, keeping 6th grade. There are schools that do that, but space is an issue. We would use every modular classroom. And by the way, any of these changes would not be a one-year change. We would not be doing this with the idea that, oh, the following year we go back the way we were. We would be in this for the long haul if we make these kinds of changes, because this is extraordinary changes. These are extraordinary changes. And it would change how we think about our middle school. And our middle school now would be a 2-grade school, 7 and 8, plus the preschool. Housed here. And so there's some question about educational soundness on that, but it's the only one out of the scenarios that money-wise we think would actually have some level of savings, even after you outlaid some money on reconfiguration. Because we would get some efficiencies with staffing, and there would be some savings there. So right now, I want the committee to, number one, understand the work that everyone has done, the principals and Pam and Chris, on thinking about this. And there may be more work, but I'm not presenting it tonight. I'm not looking at a redistricting issue tonight. But I don't know what the future will hold. All right, so that's the reorganization. So let me know. Everything that I've talked about so far, out of that 1.7, totals just over 400,000. So we have a long way to go. And the staffing, my recommendations on staffing would be a further reduction of about $850,000, and it would represent about up to 18 staffing positions. I'm sorry, I didn't put this through spell checker on the press copy, so you have a spelling error. So not in any particular order here, but the first one is the school committee has already taken steps to decrease the student year from 182 days to 180 days. And by decreasing the student year, that will decrease 2 days for work years for paraprofessionals. And that will generate a savings of just under $10,000.
That can be done without reopening the contract, right?
Yes.
I believe it can. Item number 2 is to further reduce paraprofessional positions. At this point, I'm not really sure exactly. It'll be about 3 positions. And again, we have different categories of paraprofessionals. It's likely to affect, these will be positions that will be eliminated. This would be in special education, in general classroom, and in library media. We'll look at all of those and determine how we can reduce 3 positions.
So David, we basically have no, I mean, the staff of library and media right now, especially at the elementary schools, is paraprofessionals, correct?
Mm-hmm.
We have 1 librarian in the entire district, correct?
We have one professional librarian in the entire district.
Right. So if we reduce library and we're already reducing an area that we're understaffed. I just want to get again at some of the ramifications here. We already have elementary school libraries closed during the week, correct?
Right.
Okay.
All week?
No,
2 days. 2 days a week at the little school and the hood school. 1 day a week at the bachelor school. I would also add to this, we have computer lab paraprofessionals. We have 2 of them in the elementary level. So.
Again, the labs aren't open all the time
Well,
that
they're
they
also
used to be, right?
Right. So I don't know how we're going to do it.
Okay.
But you're not saying this is a reduction in hours at the elementary level?
Say that again.
If, you're reducing paraprofessionals in library and computer, necessitate us reducing hours at elementary?
No, it's reducing, no, it's not changing the school day.
At the elementary
No,
level?
no. This is changing delivery of services, reducing of delivery of services. And by the way, on the total amount, because I'm predicting, and I believe what I sent out on Friday, the number is a little higher. The number should be 44,800 for that particular one. When Carl and I present staffing reductions, we have to figure what the actual savings will be after unemployment kicks in. And I believe the rate is, you take the actual salary and you decrease it by 36%. So you either can put the real salary in, but then have another number down for the unemployment.
So that's why we're seeing 30%.
So that's why you're seeing it's a lower number.
Yeah, that's the
correct.
question I had.
Right? I mean, so
one that's the savings. That reflects the actual savings.
That's the actual savings.
Okay. Anticipating that each position would not find a new job if we reduce that.
Yes. Because we'll be required, as we build the budget, to account for the unemployment. Now, later on, I'm going to be saying down here that if there is a reduction in staffing, I would strongly suggest that we ask the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen to allow us to deduct the cost of health benefits, because remember, that is charged right up front as an expense. So every person, we have to account for 12,000.
That's been the number that's
yeah.
used.
So,
but theoretically, we would only be attributed half of that because it's coming off the top.
correct. All right, but I still would want to see some recouping of that, which I've not accounted for in any of the numbers, just the unemployment. So, up to 3 paraprofessionals. The next one would be a custodian. We would reduce our custodian salary line the equivalent of 30,800. The next one would be to reduce, basically there's a reduction in every employee category. And the next one would be a reduction in secretarial staff. We would be combining positions and making reassignments, and this would decrease approximately 1.2 positions total. How we achieve that has yet to be determined, but that would yield about $32,000. There's my voice here. The next one would be to reduce technology support. These are technicians, and we would reduce that salary line by $35,000. The next line says retirees attrition. We have a number of staff members who will be retiring, and so the simple solution is you simply don't replace those people, but you do have to replace some people. And so when someone goes out after 35 years or 38 years in the district, they're at this level, and my practice has been to bring someone in. We usually target master's level 4.
Yes.
Okay. I've never wavered from that. This may be the first year that I say you only hire bachelor level 1, but to account for the past practice of someone going out of this level and someone coming in at master's level 4 should generate, I'm going to say about $128,583.
That's a bit of a guessing game, though, right?
Absolutely. Right. Because sometimes you hire someone, if the physics teacher goes out, you may get someone who is coming in at a higher level.
Right.
So you have to have, we use master's level 4 as our target. But you're right, that could go up, it could go down. The next one is particularly difficult and challenging, but it would reduce the equivalent of about 4 teachers at the high school, and it would have an immediate effect on electives and the frequency of offering courses. And so this would generate $128,000. We're not sure at this point if it changes the schedule. It may make it more difficult for students who want to take certain courses to get those courses, and it may also increase class size. So a combination of all of that would be the effect. And it may change the schedule. I've asked Mr. Bernard to work with Pam and Mr. Forget in thinking about what the schedule looks like, what are alternatives to that schedule, and it may require that we rethink. Right now we're asking students, grade 9, 10, 11, and 12, 8 classes over 2 days. That's the year-to-year requirement. And then there are graduation requirements within it. We may play around with those requirements. We may say a freshman takes 7 and a senior takes 8, doing different combinations. We don't have a plan yet. But 4 teachers.
Can you give an example of some of the electives, because there aren't too many left?
Right.
Without.
Yeah, I think the most, I'll let Mr. Bernard speak, but I would say a good number of the electives would be in the art area, music area, business ed, some of the social studies, the sciences, beyond the core.
Well, this is one area I'm going to
I don't see how we can even consider that.
strongly object to. We got that report last year that said that North Reading kids going to state colleges were needing remedial classes.
We're going to cut.
So we do the top, we do the cream of the crop. Wonderful, those kids go to colleges of their choice, but we do a majority of kids a disservice.
Well, I think this exercise will show us what the cost would be for doing these things.
Right.
Obviously, we're not even having a discussion now on the merits of each one of these, but I think.
Well,
I think we have to.
I'm sending a clear message back